listening is one of the most important pillars in learning English. Many people study the language for years, dedicate themselves to grammar, memorize vocabulary, practice writing, and even manage to express themselves with some fluency. However, when they try to understand a native speaker in a real conversation, they realize that the words seem jumbled, the sounds blend together, and the meaning gets lost. This difficulty does not mean that the person lacks sufficient knowledge of the language, but rather that their ear has not been properly trained. Unlike writing or speaking, which can be practiced in a controlled manner, listening requires a deeper level of exposure and training because spoken English follows very different patterns from written English or the English taught in textbooks. Before we continue, welcome to another video. It's great to have you here with us to learn more. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss future content. By doing this, you help this content reach more people who also need it. Enjoy another step in your journey. Let's continue. The first major obstacle in developing listening skills is believing that simply being exposed to the language will be enough to improve comprehension. Many students spend years watching movies and TV shows in English, listening to music, and following YouTube videos, yet when it comes to understanding a real-life conversation, they still struggle. This happens because passive learning is not enough. When we listen to something without actively paying attention to the details, the brain doesn't make an effort to process the sounds, identify patterns, and connect what is being heard to the actual meaning of the words. To truly improve in listening, it is necessary to practice actively and strategically, turning exposure to the language into a conscious exercise. One of the biggest challenges when listening to spoken English is the difference between what is expected and what is actually heard. In grammar books and traditional classes, we learn well-structured sentences, clearly pronounced words, and a slower speaking pace. However, in real communication, native speakers connect words, reduce sounds, and speak much faster than a learner's ear is used to. Phrases like, "What do you want?" can sound like "What do you want?" and "Did you eat?" might be pronounced as "da eat." If someone is only familiar with the formal English taught in study materials, they will struggle to recognize these reduced and connected forms of natural speech. To overcome this obstacle, it is essential to train the ability to perceive English sounds and how they connect. One effective method is listening to a short audio clip and trying to identify every word spoken, even if they sound different from what is expected. Then, checking the transcript and comparing it with what was understood. This type of training helps to recognize which sounds typically disappear, how words blend, and which patterns are common in spoken English. Over time, the ear gets used to it and starts recognizing these patterns automatically. Another key point is choosing the right materials to train listening skills. Many people try to learn by listening to content that is too difficult from the start, such as movies without subtitles or fast-paced dialogues, and end up feeling frustrated because they can't keep up. The ideal approach is to choose audio materials that match the current level of comprehension. In the beginning, it is helpful to listen to materials made for English learners, such as educational podcasts with native speakers who speak more clearly. As comprehension improves, the difficulty can be increased by listening to natural conversations, interviews, and authentic content. Besides selecting the right materials, repetition plays a crucial role in auditory training. Listening to the same audio multiple times allows the brain to become familiar with speech patterns and understand the details better. On the first listen, only a few words might be recognized. On the second, the sentence structure starts to become clearer. By the third time, the connections between words become more noticeable. This process reinforces learning and makes listening more effective. A particularly useful technique for developing listening skills is shadowing, which involves repeating what is being said almost at the same time as listening to an audio clip. This exercise improves not only listening comprehension but also pronunciation and speech rhythm. By trying to imitate the sound of words and the intonation of native speakers, the brain becomes accustomed to the natural variations of spoken English and learns to recognize words even when they are spoken quickly and connected. Daily exposure to English is also essential. Even if the available study time is short, listening to English every day keeps the ear trained and prevents listening comprehension from regressing. Small habits, such as listening to a podcast while driving, watching a short video during a break, or even playing English audio in the background while performing a simple task, make a huge difference in the long run. The more exposure to the language, the more natural it becomes. Another factor that can make understanding spoken English difficult is a lack of familiarity with different accents. Many people get used to only standard American English and end up struggling to understand British, Australian, or even other non-native English speakers. To avoid this problem, it is important to diversify listening materials by exploring content from different regions. This helps train the ear to recognize various pronunciations and improves adaptability in different contexts. A common mistake among learners is trying to understand every word individually. When we listen to our native language, we don't pay attention to each word separately, but rather grasp the general idea of what is being said. However, many English learners try to mentally translate every word when listening to audio, which makes comprehension slower and more difficult. To train the ability to grasp overall meaning, it is helpful to listen to an audio clip without worrying about every detail and focus only on the main idea. After that, one can go back and analyze the more difficult parts for better understanding. It is important to remember that developing listening skills is a gradual process. In the beginning, it may seem impossible to understand native speakers speaking quickly, but with consistent practice, the brain adapts and comprehension improves. Every small achievement, every recognized word, and every understood sentence is a sign of progress. The key is consistency, choosing good materials, and taking an active approach to learning. Listening is one of the most important pillars of English. Without well-trained listening skills, communication remains incomplete. After all, it's not enough to just speak well. It is essential to understand what others are saying. Investing in this skill opens doors to more fluent and confident communication. The effort is worth it, and over time, what once seemed difficult becomes natural and automatic. Congratulations on making it this far. This shows your commitment to your studies and personal development. Keep going like this, and it will only be a matter of time before your learning progresses even faster. Don't forget to leave a like and comment on how this video has helped you. See you in the next one.